AI is not just changing work, it is quietly sorting workers into new levels of power. The split is subtle until payday hits. Some people will use AI like leverage, others will experience it like pressure. The same tool creates opposite feelings. That is the new class divide at work. Not robots versus humans, but humans with leverage versus humans without it. That is the workplace status game. The old workplace had managers, specialists, and support staff. The new workplace adds another layer, people who can multiply themselves. Scale becomes a privilege. And that sounds exciting until you realize multiplication is not distributed equally. Access is never just technical. The funny part is that every company says AI will empower everyone. Then they give the best tools, training, and patience to people already near the top. That is the old hierarchy wearing new software. This video is not about panic. It is about the new workplace hierarchy forming in real time. The useful question is, who gains control? Because AI will not simply replace jobs one by one. It will change what counts as valuable work. Tasks are becoming the battlefield. And when the definition of valuable work changes, status changes with it. Status follows the scarce skill. Start with the first group, the AI leverage class. They become harder to ignore. These are people who use AI to write faster, analyze faster, summarize faster, design faster, and decide with more context. This is why managers notice them. They are not necessarily geniuses. They just know how to turn 1 hour into 3 hours of output. That advantage compounds quickly. That is the basic promise of AI at work: speed, range, and fewer blank pages. The blank page used to slow everyone down. A good worker with AI can look like a small team. That can look almost unfair. A weak worker with AI can produce noise at industrial scale. Speed without judgment just creates cleanup. So the divide is not just access to AI, it is judgment. This is the part people skip. The tool can generate answers, but someone still has to know which answers are useful. Verification becomes a career skill. This is why AI may actually reward the people who already understand the job deeply. Expertise becomes the steering wheel. A lawyer who knows what matters can use AI to move faster. A beginner may not know when the answer is wrong. Confidence is dangerous without context. A marketer with taste can use AI for drafts. A marketer with no taste can create polished garbage. The shine can hide the emptiness. A financial analyst can use AI to test assumptions, but AI cannot magically create sound assumptions. Bad inputs still create bad decisions. This is the uncomfortable truth. AI makes skill more scalable, but it also makes incompetence louder. Amplification is not automatically improvement. That creates the second group, the monitored worker. Their problem is not access, it is autonomy. For some workers, AI does not arrive as a helpful assistant. It arrives as a manager that never blinks. That changes the emotional texture of work. The warehouse worker gets routing systems. The call center worker gets scripts, sentiment scoring, and performance dashboards. Efficiency can feel very personal. The office worker gets automated summaries, faster deadlines, and a quiet expectation to do more with less. The calendar starts to feel compressed. This is where the corporate magic trick happens. The tool is called productivity, but the worker feels it as compression. The slide deck sounds nicer than the shift. One class uses AI to gain freedom. Another class gets AI used on them. This is the most important split. That difference may become one of the most important status markers of the next decade. Titles may matter less than control. Do you control the machine, or does the machine control your pace? That question is more useful than the hype. The third group is the exposed junior worker. They may lose the ladder before climbing it. This is where things get especially awkward. Because many entry-level jobs are built out of tasks AI is suddenly good at. The risk begins at the first rung. The first years of a career used to involve messy practice. Draft the memo, clean the spreadsheet, summarize the meeting, prepare the first version. Entry work used to be training in disguise. Those tasks were not glamorous, but they taught people how the work actually works. Learning often looked inefficient from outside. Now, companies look at those tasks and ask an extremely dangerous question: why pay a person for this? The spreadsheet says savings. The career ladder says trouble. It is efficient in the short run. It may be stupid in the long run. Short-term logic can be very expensive. Because if you automate the apprenticeship, where do future experts come from? No tool solves that pipeline problem by itself. A company can save money this quarter and accidentally destroy its training pipeline. The damage arrives years later. That is the part of the AI story that does not fit neatly into a press release. It is easier to announce AI than rebuild training. Every company wants senior judgment. Fewer companies want to pay for the years that created. Everybody wants judgment after someone else paid for practice. This creates a fourth group, the AI middle manager. This role may quietly become more important. These workers do not just do tasks. They coordinate humans, machines, timelines, and exceptions. Coordination becomes a high-value skill. In the old office, coordination was partly invisible. In the AI office, coordination becomes the whole game. Invisible work becomes visible leverage. Someone has to translate business goals into prompts, workflows, checks, and decisions. The prompt is only the first inch. Someone has to notice when the output is technically correct and strategically dumb. Polished wrongness is still wrongness. That person becomes more valuable, not less. Judgment becomes a premium asset. So the future does not belong only to coders. It belongs to people who can combine domain skill with AI judgment. Hybrid competence beats tool worship. That is a very different message from learn prompting and you are safe. The moat is deeper than a prompt box. Prompting is useful. But prompting alone is not a career moat. Everyone can copy a trick eventually. The real moat is knowing what problem is worth solving, what answer is believable, and what risk matters. That is where real value hides. That brings us to the company side of the divide. Firms will not adopt AI the same way. Some companies will use AI to train workers, redesign jobs, and make teams better. That version can actually be good. Others will use it as a fancy excuse to cut headcount and call the remaining stress innovation. That version will be sold as bold leadership. Both will say the word efficiency. Only one will build capability. The difference will show up in morale. This is where the good side deserves credit. AI can remove boring, repetitive work. It can help small teams compete. It can make expertise easier to access. It can help workers with writing, translation, analysis, coding, planning, and learning. For people with fewer connections, AI can sometimes act like a cheap assistant, tutor, or first draft partner. That matters. Access to useful tools should not be dismissed just because corporations are also using them badly. The problem is not that AI is useful. The problem is who captures most of the usefulness. If workers use AI to finish faster, do they get more freedom or just more work? If AI raises output, do wages rise too, or only expectations? If a team becomes twice as productive, does the team share the gain or shrink in half? These questions are not anti-technology, they are the whole point. Technology does not automatically decide who wins. Institutions, managers, contracts, and bargaining power decide that. And bargaining power is where class enters the story. A high-status employee can say, I use AI to lead bigger projects. A low-status employee may hear, AI means you should hit higher numbers. Same technology. Different social position. Totally different outcome. This is why AI can widen inequality even when it raises productivity. The top gets leverage. The middle gets restructured. The bottom gets monitored. And the young get told to adapt before anyone explains what they are adapting into. That is not exactly a warm welcome to the future. So what should a worker actually learn from this? This is where advice becomes practical. First, do not build your identity around tasks that are easy to copy, summarize, or automate. Protect yourself from being pure throughput. If your value is only, I produced the first draft, you are standing on soft ground. First drafts are becoming cheap. Second, get closer to decisions. Decisions are closer to power. The closer you are to judgment, relationships, accountability, and context, the harder you are to turn into a button. Context is harder to automate than text. Third, learn how to verify AI, not just use it. Trust but verify is not optional anymore. The workplace will be full of confident nonsense dressed in clean formatting. Clean formatting can be a costume. The people who can catch that nonsense will matter. They become the quality control layer. Fourth, Learn your field deeply enough that AI becomes a junior assistant, not your supervisor. Depth turns the tool into leverage. If the tool knows more than you about your own work, you are not using a tool, you are renting competence. That is not a comfortable position. Fifth, watch the incentives around you. Follow the money and the metrics. A company that trains people and shares gains is different from a company that uses AI to disguise understaffing. The workplace culture tells you the truth. Do not confuse a futuristic interface with a healthy workplace. A shiny dashboard can still hide a bad deal. For companies, the lesson is just as clear. If you replace every junior task, you may also replace your future experts. If you measure every worker too tightly, you may destroy trust faster than you improve output. If you capture all the gains at the top, do not be shocked when loyalty disappears below. The smartest companies will not just add AI. They will redesign the ladder. They will teach people how to move from task work to judgment work. They will treat AI as infrastructure, not just a layoff headline. And they will understand that productivity without trust becomes a very expensive kind of resentment. The deepest shift is psychological. For decades, many people were rewarded for being reliable processors of information. AI makes processing cheaper. So humans have to move toward interpretation, responsibility, and taste. That does not mean everyone becomes an executive. It means the human premium moves upward in the work itself. Routine answers get cheaper. Good questions become more valuable. Questions point the machine. Fast output gets easier. Meaningful output still needs someone who understands the situation. Context is the human advantage. This is why the next divide may not be between educated and uneducated workers. Degrees alone will not settle it. It may be between people who can turn tools into leverage and people whose work is turned into metrics. That is the new divide to watch. That is a class divide, even if nobody calls it that in the HR presentation. Corporate language will make it sound harmless. The most dangerous version of AI is not the robot taking your chair. That image is almost too obvious. It is the quiet redesign of your job until you have less autonomy, less bargaining power, and more performance pressure. Autonomy is the quiet wealth of work. The best version is different. It gives people more capability, more learning, and more room to do valuable work. That future is worth fighting for. Both futures are possible. The difference is power, not magic. Power decides which version arrives. So the practical lesson is simple. Do not just ask whether AI is coming for your job. That question is too small. Ask whether AI is increasing your leverage or reducing your leverage. Leverage is the real scoreboard. If it increases your leverage, learn it deeply. If it reduces your leverage, organize your skills toward judgment, trust, and decisions. Those are harder to automate cleanly. Because the future of work will not be divided by who has heard of AI. It will be divided by who has power over it. That is the class line hiding inside the technology.